Hi people, welcome to Uplistsikhe. It is an old ancient village that is built in Georgia. It's about 120 kilometers from Tbilisi, to the west of Tbilisi, and it's just about 10-15 kilometers outside Gori. You'll find I found the area quite arid, which was quite interesting. One always thinks of Georgia as being green and lush, but not here. It's actually quite desert. It's just along the river floor where it's green, where they grow fruit and stuff like that. Well, welcome to Uncle and Uncle Explores, and we're going to explore this ancient ruins. So Uplistsikhe is found on the Maktvari River, or the Kura River, and the river itself is 1,515 kilometers long. So that's the river down there. So Uplistsikhe contains various structures, and they all date back to the Iron Age, and it was the crossroads between north, south, east and west. So Uplistsikhe is one of the oldest urban settlements in Georgia, located in the heart of ancient kingdom of Kartli, or Iberia as the country was known in the past. It's a major political and religious center of Iberia. Traces of human presence at Uplistsikhe dates back to the end of the second millennium BC. Like any fortress, you'll find that civilization lived nearby the fortress. Up here, this is what they call the Elegant Hall. It was one of the first churches that was built. With Christianization of Kartli in the early 4th century, Uplistsikhe seemed to decline in its importance. And Uplistsikhe regained importance during this Muslim Conquests of Tbilisi in the 8th and 10th century. Hence the three churches basilica was constructed at that time, and that was one of the churches there you can see. The Mongol raids in the 14th century marked the fall of Uplistsikhe. So the fortress is actually divided into three sections. We're in the northern section now, which is what they call the upper section. Then there's the middle section. The upper north section is 8 hectares. The middle is the largest, holds most of the rock cut structures, connecting to the south part by a rock cut pass and tunnel, which we'll go to now. Majority of the caves do not have decorations. So the town was cut into the flat, straight but slightly inclined mountain. We're on the western side now, and as you can see, there's a cliff that protects the fortress, and the cliff faces the river. Here's the cliff face that we're talking about. It's quite a long way down, I have to say. I wouldn't like to fall and slip down there. So to the north of the town, 2 moat structures were built to protect from hordes coming from the north. The main moat's actually behind that big rock there. I can't get there. Sorry about the wind. There's one of the churches. And from the south it's protected obviously by the river itself. And there's the river there. So this is the middle part of the fortress. As I say, it contains most of the caves and rock cuttings. Once it's there, there's a pass through to the other side. The rock is obviously a sandstone, extremely hard. It reminds me of a type of cement, but obviously with a chisel and some sort of tool, chisel and hammer type tool, it would be quite easy to carve out these structures. This is the 3-nave basilica. The first nave is up there. The second nave is there. And and the third nave is just really a cutout where they did fires and stuff. And then eventually they built the actual church up on the hill. So this is the wine cellar. Just remember though that it was the intersection of important trade routes, as I said earlier, and was the main center of paganism at the time. It is a complex made up of caves, halls, altars, theaters, secret tunnels, and of course prisons. Here's the hall of Queen Tamar, and this is where the queen would sit while she took reign. So who among you know that word? I have to confess, I had to look it up. So yes, this is the medical center in ancient times, where they would perform all medical procedures, and I suppose they had a kind of witch doctor that did that. And this whole section here that I'm filming is the midsection, as I discussed. This is the main section. This is where the royals would stay and live before the churches and the Christian folk arrived. Remember, this was the heart of paganism in Georgia at the time. This here is the old wine presses. They used to press wine in these little hollows that you see here. And once pressed, the wines would go out of these V's. It would flow down here, down this main V, where they would capture them in some sort of earthen pot. They'll stick the earthen pot in this hole in the ground, let the wine go into it, and then they'll pull that pot out and then keep it in the winery that we saw earlier on. So this is the abandoned village of Uplistsikhe. It was built obviously after the main fort was built up on the hill, and people would run up here for protection when the Mongols came, or the Muslims. This is the lower area of the fort, and was protected by the river and also a moat-like structure. Here there's tunnels that go from the river into the fortress. This could have been a wine pit or wine making. It's got channels in the floor. It could also just be channeling water into this main area. Sorry for the wind. As mentioned before, Uplistsikhe was the center of paganism, and was a cult temple city, a large pagan center prior to Christianity, which arrived in the 4th century. Down there below is the first kind of Christian churches that was established, and then ultimately they built their own church up on the hill. This would be a typical dwelling home of people here. This was the main street of the whole complex, the heart the city. So this is the lowest section. As I said, it's in 3 sections, and down there is the tunnel that connects the town from the river below. Sorry about the wind, it's really blowing here today. This is the famous tunnel to the south of the complex, and this tunnel allowed people to get into the fortress from the riverside. So this was the main entrance, and this could be protected from bandits or enemies. I have to say this tunnel is quite impressive. It's not small, it's quite a feat of engineering. And there's the entrance into the fort itself. And here's the main tunnel entrance from the river. And here's said river. So yeah, so at the peak of the city they had 20,000 people, and then Christianity came in about 9th, 10th century, and the demise of the city was Genghis Khan and his Mongols. When they came down, they destroyed the city, unfortunately. Well, that's Uplistsikhe, folk. I have to say Georgia never stops to amaze me of the different sites. Another thing that gets me is just the different regions between desert, forests, rainy areas, etc, etc. So I just want to thank Pegasus for bringing me here, and thank the man there who's making me orange juice for looking after my bike while I was here. So nicely fresh squeezed orange juice there. Thank you. Maglaba.